This may be this episode today maybe the biggest episode we've ever had of the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. It's chock full of stuff. If you are a fan of Rush, you're in the right place today. And that's only part of what's going on. Let me start at the top. Kind of some sad news. On this date, way back, well, not way back, on this date in 2018, what's that, 5 years ago? We lost a legend. The great Roy Clark passed away on this date in 2014 or 2018 due to complications with pneumonia. He was 85 years old. Now, guys, Roy Clark was from a different generation. He was what you call an entertainer, right? Glenn Campbell was an entertainer. And what do I mean by entertainers? Back in the early days of music and show business, there were true entertainers. These were people that were mega talented and could do lots of stuff. Roy Clark could play just about any instrument at a master level, right? Guitar, banjo, mandolin, fiddle, piano. He sang. If you only know Roy Clark from Hee Haw, which is enough to make him a legend right there. Hee Haw that show was awesome. He was just a phenomenal talent and legendary guitarist and entertainer. And we lost him on this date back in 2018. All right. Gene Simmons is unhappy that Peter Criss and Ace Frehley won't share the stage with Kiss at the band's final concerts. Now, Kiss has been a soap opera for the last 20 years. I love Kiss. I'm a Kiss fan. This is not Kiss bashing, but we all know the back and forth that has gone on between Gene and Paul with Chris and Ace, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley for years, right? Quote, this is from Gene. I feel sad and angry that both Ace and Peter aren't here. The band's founding bassist told 519 magazine, I mean, they're alive, but they're not here to enjoy this unbelievable journey with us. They were there at the beginning and deserve all the credit. And when they look in the mirror, the only reason they're not here with us is themselves. So apparently, an invitation was extended to both Ace and Peter to be there at the final show. And of course, now the final show will be a pay-per-view as well. But they don't want to appear on the stage with, Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer also there. It's a big mess. It would be great if they would show up, right? It would be cool. But that is not to be. By the way, Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer have been in the band longer than either Ace or Peter were, just from a chronological order. They've both been in there over 20 years. But they will not be at the final show, and Gene is sad about that. A lot of Geddy Lee news today. Geddy Lee, first of all, as we speak, like right now, it's probably happening right now. I don't know if you know this. Geddy Lee owns perhaps one of the world's largest collections of baseballs. He's a baseball nut, baseball fanatic, and he has been collecting baseball memorabilia, specifically baseballs, for years and years. He's appearing on the Dan Patrick Show, the talk show, sports talk show, Dan Patrick, to talk specifically about his baseball collection. I think he is selling a lot of it. Years ago, he's already donated a lot of stuff to like the Negro Baseball League Hall of Fame. He's donated a lot of his memorabilia to that museum. But I think he's going to be auctioning off much of his baseball collection. That's why he's on the Dan Patrick Show this morning. I'll check it out afterwards, and we can maybe talk about that. But yeah, Geddy's very, very into baseball. and collecting memorabilia. But a few things have come about from this current tour. He's doing a spoken word tour in promotion of his new book, My Effing Life. Paul Rudd, the actor, is actually appearing with Getty as the interviewer. So Paul is there to kind of ask questions to Getty. And then there's a Q&A with the crowd too, where he answers questions. Well, after an introduction from Paul Rudd, Geddy Lee walks out on the stage and they're playing music, Getty music, right? That was recorded during his solo album that he did back in 2000, My Favorite Headache. Well, he's got two tracks. One is called I Am You Are, and the other is called Gone. Well, they're playing these songs at the dates of this spoken word tour. So obviously there's some unreleased Geddy Lee solo music that we may be able to hear coming up. But here's the part I really wanted to talk about. During the Q&A portion of the opening night of Geddy Lee's spoken word tour in support of his new memoir, My Effin' Life, Geddy reflected on the last time he saw drummer Neil Peart and the touching conversation the pair shared. Now, Neil died at the age of 67 on January 7th, 2020. He had been diagnosed with brain cancer 3.5 years earlier, and he kept it private. No one knew. I mean, Geddy and Alex knew. I mean, the family knew, and Geddy and Alex knew, but this is something that was kept private until he passed away. But Geddy says that during the last few years, Neil had really been going through and listening to all the stuff they'd done. And some of it, particularly if they never performed it live, Neil had never really listened to since they'd recorded it, right? And so he spent a lot of his, final days listening to a lot of their stuff. And Geddy says, and by the time that he sadly passed, he had listened to pretty much all the work we had done as a band. And the last time I saw him, Geddy kind of chokes up at this point, he wanted to tell me how proud he was of the music we have done together. Some of this stuff is hard to talk about. Those are Geddy's words. He continues, it just blew me away that in that moment we were sitting on his balcony at his house. And whenever we left him towards the end, we never knew if we'd see him again or not. And so we were sitting on his balcony and he was having a smoke because he loved to have a smoke like clockwork. And we were talking about what a great moment it was that he was here in this place. And we had just seen some parakeets flying into the trees, and we both were bird nerds, so we could talk about that. But he went on to talk about these songs and what they meant to him. And he thought it was very important for me to know that our life as a rhythm section together was important to him. So I thought that was beautiful. And Geddy just makes the point that that's a wonderful memory that he has to look back on. So My Effing Life is the new book, and you can catch that spoken word tour. Their dates, I don't know where all they are, but I would love to go see that. And I bet you there will be a video version for people not able to attend in person that at some point will probably be available. Rufus Publications has announced the forthcoming release of Starring Alice Cooper. This official 400-plus page book has been 2 years in the making, and the project has been personally overseen by the iconic rock legend. You can pre-order the book, Google it, look it up if you want to do that. But here's what's cool. If you pre-order it, each book will be individually signed, and it will come in 2 major editions, including a huge, very limited A3 version, complete with 3D lenticular and some surprising treasures. I don't know what 3D lenticular is, but it's available with that. The book boasts many rare photos and pictures of personal items throughout and is full of incredible personal content and surprises. All right, now, Nirvana fans, Kurt Cobain fans, Kurt Cobain's Fender Mustang guitar is about to go set to go to auction, and it's gonna they're expecting it to fetch around $2 million. The guitar, which Kurt Cobain played at Nirvana's last ever show, is coming up for auction this weekend. The guitar, a 1993 Fender MG69 Mustang, known as Sky Stang, probably because it's sky blue, is owned by Cobain's brother Chad and was used throughout Nirvana's In Utero tour, including at the band's final show at Munich's Terminal 1 venue on March 1st, 1994. It's part of a big auction. The auction will also include guitars owned by Metallica's Kirk Hammett, The Who's Pete Townsend, Eric Clapton, Eddie Van Halen, and Johnny Cash, plus items such as Slash's 66 Chevy Corvette Stingray, a Wurlitzer jukebox owned by John Lennon, John Lydon's handwritten lyrics to Holidays in the Sun, and a packet of American Spirit menthol cigarettes left by Kurt Cobain in an LA rehab facility. So that's quite an auction going on this weekend. But you can pick up for, they're thinking $2 million. It's an auction, so it could be more, could be less. $2 million for Cobain's Fender Mustang. Lastly, Jack Osbourne, son of Ozzy Osbourne, doesn't think his dad will ever tour again, but doesn't rule out one-off shows. He said that he doesn't think the Prince of Darkness will ever tour again. Ozzy is 74, right? He's got spinal damage. I believe he has Parkinson's disease. He's got some health issues. And Jack, who's already 38, Jack is 38 years old now, has commented on his dad's condition and doesn't believe that another tour from the former Black Sabbath frontman will ever be possible. Sad news, but hey, it happens. Happens to all of us, right? I think it's fitting that for our album today, let's talk about a Rush album. This album to me, is significant. It's a great album, but this is the first album with Neil. Neil came in. You remember the debut Rush album? It's a good album, but it's very different, right? All of a sudden, Neil comes in and they go from kind of a blues rock outfit to really a progressive rock band, musically, lyrically. This is not my first original. I just bought this a couple years ago. This is when they update it, put it on the thicker vinyl and all of that. But one thing that's really cool about this album, let me share this. Now, in the original album, the inner sleeve, this is on both sides, on both sides of the inner sleeve. In this newer version, they put it in its own sleeve, but then they just include this, which is kind of a reproduction of what the inner sleeve used to be. But this is cool, and I don't know if you can really see this. This is the way Neil would write his lyrics. Okay, he'd write it out very neatly, print it out, draw little pictures. By-Torn the Snow Dog, but these are just reproductions of the actual lyrics that Neil would write. And they'd be cruising along on the tour bus, or he's in a hotel room, and he would print out the lyrics by hand. And, look at the kind of calligraphy. It's just cool. It's just a cool little memento that is part of this album. In the original, like I said, this is the inner sleeve. In the new one, it's got its own sleeve, but they do provide this. So this is just a cool little reminder of Neil, and just this. I have always thought this was really cool. I'd lay on my bed with my headphones on and look at these and read the lyrics, and I just thought it was always kind of cool. But Fly By Night album is a great album. Neil's first album with the band, and some great stuff on that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you supporting the podcast. Appreciate you tuning in to the daily update and following us on X and on YouTube and Facebook. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks so much. Live long and prosper. We'll see you. Bye-bye.